Oh, that's a first. Welcome back to Midwest Linux Gaming. I'm your host, as usual, Stompin' Llama. We're back in Final Fantasy XIV, Seekers of Adeline. I see you, Kyo. I see you. I barely go live and you're there. I see you. So, where we left off? God, where did we leave off? Eep. The leader of Adeline has been cursed into becoming a leafkin. He can, at this point, no longer communicate, which is bad. Also, the world literally exists on the roots of a tree. Used to be two trees, but now there's one tree. Can you guess what that tree's called? Yes, it is Yggdrasil. It exists in Adeline because they transplanted a part of the old tree before the old tree burned to the ground. And apparently colonization is a very hot topic in Adeline. Highly divisive, despite the 2/3 split. I'm like 2/3 are in support. Literally 2/3 of the coalition of the houses, for lack of a better term, are in support of the continued colonization effort. 1/3 of them are not. And somehow that is causing a severe divide in their society, up to and including actual violence in the streets, which is terrible. No, I see nothing. That's very true. Much like this Tartaru, I see nothing. I find it so funny that Ygnas needs a 10 Baelid contribution when, I have millions? Literally 3.4 million Baelid, and I have no way of spending that. This is one of the weirdest things about Baelid in particular, which is Seeker's special currency. You have no real way of spending it. Like, I have 3.4 million. I will not be spending that at all. But I continue to get more and more of it. We did, however, reunite with, the little child we saved. We and Arciela saved at the beginning of Adeline. Our grandfather is apparently doing well. Well, supposedly, anyway. You there! If you value your life, don't you dare step another foot towards the jungle! Ah! Vampire Man! This damsel must have been summoned by the spirits of the forest. I have no other way to call Theodore here. I mean, look at how pale he is. No one is that pale in this universe. Oh, Rachnios. How coincidental we should meet under such unsavory circumstances. By summoned by the spirits of the forest, I meant exactly as I said. You can take my words at their face value. To elaborate, I mean this current episode mimics one that occurred many years past. As to what the forest might want with her, my memories offer not even the slightest hint. As what I do know is that this maiden will continue to heed the hinterland's call, if we pretend it is only an isolated incident. She may even venture into the dark heart of the jungle, for there's no possible way we can keep watch over her at all times. If only the forest were not so dangerous. Maybe she could feasibly meet with her mind's captor and plead for release from this ailment. Left to her own devices, however, I fear it is more likely she would be praying for the sweet release of death from whatever savage beast stumbles upon her. If you wish to keep this girl from becoming a clump of bloody flesh hanging between jagged fangs, you will need to ascertain what it is that the spirits of the jungle want with her. Fortunately, you already know someone whose erudition regarding forest apparitions is non-peril. Non-peril. Arciela. Precisely. I'm certain you would witness it personally, but I have heard many a tale of how Arciela is able to commune with those who inhabit the jungle. The way I see it, Ygnas, you are the man for the job. You know the right people. And more importantly, any adventurer worth his weight in ballad knows that saving damsels in distress is his goddess-given duty. Ygnas of the Middlelands, do you have what it takes to uphold the tenets of your faith? What unbridled enthusiasm! Very well. I entrust you with the most lofty of deeds. I would lend a hand myself, but I'm afraid both of mine are tied with other affairs at the moment. This man he's an exposition man, that's all he has been. But he is so pale, and that cane. And he speaks of memories of hundreds of years old. Who is he? Hey! Don't think that stealthy black outfit doubles as official permission to enter the woods. Get back here!
Let the man when be, Elmric. He has his own brand of permission wishing. It would be best taru if we didn't interfere. I doubt I shall ever understand how he manages to remain so expression-weaponless at all times. At any rate, he is a true oddity. An enigma tightly enclosed within a riddle, shrouded by conundrum wondrum. No wonder so much of the soldiers' idle chataru revolves around him.
Well, if there's no use chasing after that rebel, let's concentrate on protecting this girl. Hey, you, Pioneer. Yeah, I'm talking to you. We heard you blabbering with that black coat earlier. What was all that about? The girl's being summoned by spirits and you need to enlist Arciela's help or something? And how do you even know the princess?
If my memory serves, you're the adventurer from the Middlelands.
One of many. What a surprise. I guess that means you're able to tell Arciela about this little incident. You deal with that, and we'll deal with getting this maiden home safe and sound. Why in all that is holy would you ask us where the princess is? You're the one who's all friendly with her. Wouldn't you know better than us? Well, why wouldn't you try looking at her in the places you've met her before? Pretty basic advice, right? Well, if you ask a stupid question, you get a stupid answer. I never thought I'd see that particular phrase in a Final Fantasy game. Just ask stupid questions, get stupid answers. Never thought I'd see that. Now, Arciela has been found. We've encountered her in a couple of locations. Generally, it's right at the castle gates or in the library. And she's most recently been in the library a lot because she's not handling the stress of suddenly being the probably leader, the one who's most likely going to be the leader to replace her brother, despite her brother being fully alive, just fully Leafkin at this point. And also being told that she is probably the key to this all, but she is absolutely not having it at all. She's not handling the stress of it well at all. Like she is just breaking down something fierce. You know, she wants all Adelinians to get along, that they shouldn't be fighting each other. They shouldn't be fighting amongst each other. But she is not handling being in charge well at all. Like, it is tearing her apart, and she is not handling it well at all. Like, out of all the heroines we've dealt with, from Lion in the original and Xylart, to Prish, to the Empress, to even Lilizette, they all were able to hold their emotions roughly in check and keep them under enough control to now they weren't falling apart at the merest mention of conflict. Arciela just cannot keep it together. I hate to say it, this poor girl just... she's not built for this, and it's not helping. Nothing is helping this poor girl. Except us. And even then, we're having to drag her back into this in ways she desperately doesn't want to be.
Well, hello, my dear Ygnas. Why the long face? Well, yes, I have in fact seen the princess. She's right over there, doing what library patrons do. She's recently been rather absorbed in the abnormalities plaguing the hinterland, and has visited our humble archives numerous times these past weeks. As an aside, I believe her interest lies closer to home. Are you aware of the incident that occurred in town? Ygnas! How fortuitous! There's something I wanted to ask you. You know how it seems I'm obsessed with my brother's cryptic message recently, but I absolutely swear this isn't about him. I wanted to talk to you about the recent appearance of an evil spirit in the city. Oh, here I am getting ahead of myself, aren't I? Apparently there's a woman whose behavior's been quite suspicious of late, to say the least. For example, she's been slipping out of her house in the dead of night. That normally would be much of a cause for concern, except she looks like this when she walks, with a blank stare and glazed over eyes. What's more, she speaks in tongues whenever she's afflicted. Her destination seems to be somewhere in the jungle. She often tries to leave the city.
So you're researching what?
Is that a joke? Rather uncouth one, if you ask me. Why am I researching this anyway? Because the woman in question is the daughter of Palumimio, who holds a high office in the Pioneers Coalition. He presides over certain aspects of Adeline's mercantile endeavors, and is an outspoken proponent of the colonization movement. I was just about to pay him a visit after I collected the necessary background information here, but you've come at a perfect time. If possible, would you please accompany me? I have a...
That book is floating. Sorry. That book is floating. She didn't even put it back on the bookshelf. It just levitates. How are you doing this, woman? Please.
I have a hunch that this could somehow be related to what befell my brother. You've seen something exactly like this. What are the odds?
Okay, technically, from this angle, it is technically she put it on top of some smaller books. Because you've got tall books, short books, and she just stuck it on top of there. But from that other angle, all you could see was this back half of the book.
Let's make haste to the battlegrounds and find this Elmeric person and check on that poor girl.
Well, we found Arciela, spending time in the library. Which I must say, that's actually, by most size definitions, an extremely small library. I imagine that couldn't have more than 70 books total. Of course, if they're entirely about Adeline and its history, it's not surprising. But even my local library... Both of my local libraries are significantly larger than that tiny little library. Also, I haven't mentioned this when you've been around Kyo, but I've been looking at the missions for Adeline, and there's a clear influence in... I don't want to say... There's a difference in mission structure between Wings of the Goddess and the previous expansions and Adeline. As in, like, 90% of Seekers of Adeline is cutscene. Exactly like we see in Final Fantasy XIV. It's like, go here, go there, have a cutscene, go there, have another cutscene, go here, have another cutscene, go there, have another cutscene, etc. until it is done. It's also the expansion they brought back in constant in-game day waits. So you can't just blitz through it in, like, a day and a half. It's actually extremely annoying, that bit. The in-game day waits. I don't have problems with the cutscenes. I'm pretty sure Rhapsodies even has more go here and do something than Seekers does. Oh, it's you. And Arciela, pardon me, Lady Adeline, for not noticing you sooner. Oh, and here I thought that adventure was just blowing smoke. Anyway, what brings you out here? This also, I believe Seekers came out in 2011 as well, because it was post 1.0, because they realized, ah, crap. Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 is a complete failure. We might want to provide some Final Fantasy content. Oh, the girl? She regained consciousness, so we escorted her back home. And where is that? It's in Eastern Adeline, some nondescript boarding house on the way to the statue of the goddess. How about you let the princess do the talking, Middlelander?
I know who you're talking about. That's Nylene, Polumio's only daughter. I can't afford to let this chance pass us by. Let's head to their boarding house right away.
Like, I'm not joking. In this particular set, in this chapter, which we're in chapter 3 of 5, there are missions. It goes 3-1, 3-1-1, 3-1-2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. There are 29 quests in this quest chain. There are exactly 2 that are not listed as cutscene types. 2. And one of them we already did last time. And in the most action-packed set, which is Chapter 4, which is even longer than Chapter 3, there are exactly 5 non-cutscenes. And in the culmination, the final chapter, the main heavy story finale chapter, there are, admittedly, a lot more. Well, there are 5. But it's also significantly shorter. Like, there was definitely a much more cutscene focus, which is fine. Which is actually perfectly fine, because you get a lot more characterization in these characters. Like, there's a lot more characters in and involved in and around this Adeline than there were in, like, most of the other expansions. Most other expansions, you'd get, like, 3, maybe 4 characters that were kind of interesting. There's at least an easy dozen that are somewhere, some way involved. Anyway, I-9. I-9. I-9? That's that square. So that's somewhere in this square. Okay. Ah, there it is. This one has a very interesting note on it. This is a very long cutscene, so this could be like a 10-minute cutscene. No! How could it have come to this? Do you still not understand, old fool? This is the deserved castigation at the hands of nature. Your comeuppance for supporting the forbidden act of colonization and draining the lifeblood of this continent. I agree that her curse is the result of her father's stance on colonization, but I think the agency behind her malady belongs to a different source. This is nothing other than the premeditated conspiracy to hinder our colonization of Ulbuka. And just who is capable of such heinous acts? Witches! Of course. Witches? Preposterous! You cannot think their ilk still exist. They exist without doubt, and I fear we know them all too well. I'm sure even you can't have forgotten about the destruction wrought by that monstrous Calvin. Oh, you couldn't possibly mean... That is downright absurd! Your obsession with finding evil in every corner has gone too far! You exorcists are worse than zealots. I would stay my tongue if I were you. Let's just say it would do well to remember what profession Hildebert's right-hand man is. You wouldn't want Lord Vortimer discovering how incompetent you feel he is, do you? By the way, that's Ingrid. We met her. She's an exorcist. She's known as Ingrid the Merciless. She takes that to heart. No, not another fight. I can't go anywhere anymore without seeing people at each other's throats. Let's get them to shut up.
No, you'll only be adding fuel to the fire, and we can't have this animosity over colonization spreading any further than it already has. That's why we can't just stand by and let their tempers flare.
Who in the goddess auspices are you?
Well, if it isn't the Midlander. And I see you brought the princess with you. I humbly request that you put this quarrel to rest. Stirring up each other's emotions won't solve anything, especially over something like this. This isn't merely something, my dear princess. A girl has been cursed.
By the way, everyone calls her princess, but that is an unofficial title. The monarchy has been dissolved a long time ago. They're some sort of they're not a republic, they are more a governed council of 12. So it's not a republic, nor is it a democracy, but it is a kind of representative government. Just with no direct elections going on. It's an oligarchy of sorts.
Slow down. We need to hear what Palomio has to say before jumping to conclusions. Now, sir, could you tell us what exactly happened to your daughter, Nylan?
Well, yes, of course. However, I doubt I will have much to offer much insight. I barely understand her condition myself.
As I told the peacekeepers earlier, my daughter's recently begun exhibiting rather strange behavior. She wanders around the streets at night after night as one possessed. If no one were to stop her, she unfailingly meanders into the wilds. It's obvious she acts like that. She would act like that. It's a textbook example of a curse.
You are all but preaching to the choir, and I can tire of having to continually explain that.
My apologies, sir and madam. You can ignore their aspersions. If you have anything else to add, we'd be grateful to hear it.
Let me think. Well, once she's fallen into that state, her eyes wander as if she's staring at nothing in particular. Engaging in conversation with her is nigh on impossible.
But sometimes, she'll turn and face a certain direction and then unleash a barrage of incomprehensible.
I know not what would have become of my precious Nyline had those two kind souls at the Bivouac not been there to see her welfare.
And where is your daughter now?
She's in the next room over, fast asleep.
I see. So, you two believe... You two have cause to believe that there are signs of a curse? And Ingrid, you say you've heard of a similar phenomenon? Indeed I have. Whilst on my travels through the Midlands, I heard a tale of an individual who was afflicted by the curses of evil spirits. He was doomed to walk the streets of a city both day and night without reprieve. However, he left them a legacy. To this very day, the people of this land dress up as ghosts once a year, and have others chase after them. The pursuers even receive delectable confections for their efforts. The origin of such festivities is almost certainly linked to an historical event in the distant past.
Why the participants would reward pursuers with candy is beyond me. What illogical traditions these Easterners have.
I'd say the practice likely comes from an ancient ceremony that served the same function as exorcisms do today.
My. To think that such a ludicrous custom would have a rich history behind it. A stunning story if I ever heard one.
Thanks. I thought it pretty good myself.
What? You mean to say that you fabricated the whole explanation?
Cassard, your blatant lack of diligence disturbs me. Our order would sink into disrepute with you at its helm. While you've been content to remain snugly within your proverbial Ulbuken washbin, I've explored seas wider than you could possibly imagine, and returned with a veritable treasure trove of information. For which, did you know that the people in the Middlelands have, for some years, succeeded in communicating with ancient spirits of an ancient witch brood?
The name of that brood would not happen to be the Dark Lilies, would it?
So you're familiar with them. I can't say I'm surprised, though, as everyone in the Order of the Weatherspoon should have heard the name at some point. Let's give you a challenge, then. What about the rumors that the troop of evildoers who skulk the hinterland are the Dark Lily successors?
I refuse to believe such tripe. Troop, you say? So there are multiple witches involved?
Yes. I can say with full confidence that this is the work of the Blackthorn Coven.
The Blackthorn Coven?
A tyrannous cult of apocalypses incarnate. They might as well be joined at the hip for as often they've been seen apart. They've set Eastern Ulbuka ablaze with their serendipitous experiments and single-handedly extinguished the burning passions of numerous pioneers. They somehow continue to evade us, flying back to the forest only to bare their talons at a later date. It's no wonder they're also known as the Heinous Harpies. It is this nefarious sisterhood to which your daughter has fallen victim. No, you're wrong. At least that's what I want to believe. I understand they may be lacking the Harpies, but I simply don't think they're capable of something like this. What's more, Rachnios knows something more about this Nylon incident than you don't. Go on, tell them.
Yes, please. Indulge us, Rachnios. Might be the work of the forest sprites.
I see. So if she were called by the forest sprites, then...
That is far enough, Arciela. Do you not truly believe that this flagrant display of balderdash, do you? Does he have any evidence in which to support this outrageous argument?
We have enough, in my opinion. For example, I've noticed the spiritual aura in the air ever since we entered this dwelling. It's undeniably faint, almost like that scent of far-off flowers borne aloft in the morning breeze. However, I can still sense it. It greatly resembles what Rachnios and I experienced when we mentored those spirits in the Cezak battlegrounds. We'd have to investigate further before making any definite statements. But what Rachnios proposes seems plausible, more than plausible.
Auras hanging in the air? Flowery scents? Fie, I say. You employ florid metaphors to avert our attention from your spacious reasoning. This is none other than the curse of the wilds. Master Palimio is a leading figure in the colonization movement, and has been targeted precisely because of his position. His daughter and the Chancellor have been cursed to show that not even the most influential Adelinians are above the will of the woodlands. With that, I bid you farewell. I'll have no more time to squander on sophistry when I'm expected at the Weatherspoon Manse for Vespers. Polomio, you do well to leave everything to me. I shall make sure that you receive a full support of Hildebert as well. Therefore, once we lift the curse, all I ask is a few minimal favors.
I think you mean if you lift this curse. I honestly don't think you're succeeding where your betters have failed.
Squawk all you want. When the time comes, you and the princess will be proven for the fledglings that you are. Now, if you would excuse me, I have a citizen to save.
If he wants to waste his time praying, that is his prerogative. We all know there's only one way to lift a coven's curse. Send them back from whence they came. Once this world is no longer defiled by their presence, the girl shall once again be free. Let the fires of divine judgment cleanse them of their iniquity.
Who do I believe here? They both promised me my daughter's return to normalcy, but their methods seemed diametrically opposed.
What about your Rosalatia's palm, Ygnas? Does it detect any abnormal presence?
Nope. None at all.
Well, if it doesn't mean it doesn't have anything to do with the Leafkin. I guess that proves Cassard wrong. Your palm would surely have reacted in some way if the woods were involved. Moreover, I seriously don't think the Blackthorn Coven has anything to do with this. That leaves...
Mistress Arciela, I beg of you, please, save my daughter.
Now don't worry. I'll do everything in my power to cure your daughter of this affliction. I'll need your help with something in order to accomplish that. Strange spiritual energy permeates this room even as we speak. Could either you or your daughter have probably brought back any artifacts from the forest?
That seems highly unlikely. I may be a proponent of colonization, but I've never personally strode into the hinterland. Come to think of it, I did purchase an enchanting stone at the market the other day. A vendor told me that it came deep within the Obalkan jungle, and resembled no jewel or mineral I'd previously seen. It was a stunning shade of crimson, but upon further inspection it shone warmingly yellow as the sun. I rarely express interest in inexpensive jewels, but I simply had to have this rare specimen for my collection. It wonderfully complements my Altana-shaped tree root and the rock Silver had once slipped on whilst climbing upon his Eponius hillock. Many of my colleagues have also succumbed to the temptation of the collector, for we all possess menageries of bizarre objects. In fact, the stone in question is said to previously have been worshipped as a vessel of transcendental power. The merchant who sold it to me added that it could very well have been crafted for a communion with a creator deity. He was not so forthcoming as to the name of which one, but I'm certain it must have been important. My daughter was captivated by the stone's mystic properties even more than me, so I bequeathed it to her. And now that I mention it, her behavior started to change shortly after she received the stone.
So the stone's the most likely culprit. Polomio, would you mind if I met with your daughter? I have some questions for her.
Of course not. Do as you please. Her room is the next one over. She's done it again, dear! What? She's gone? When I went to check on her, the window was open and she was nowhere to be seen. Damn this curse! We best start looking for her immediately. Hopefully she's not gone too far.
Let us look for her, Ygnas. Where'd you suggest we start?
The forest.
Great minds think alike. So we agree that there's probably evil spirits calling these spirits.
Yeah.
So we agree that's probably those spirits calling out to her again. I doubt those spirits bear any ill will towards Nylan. But I get the feeling that something awful will happen if she enters those woods. Polomio, could I ask that you please search the town while Ygnas and I search for her at the edge of the forest? Ma'am, we'll also let you know immediately once we find her, so please don't move from this spot. Alright.
Understood. Wow, like, we're not kidding about that being a long cutscene. That really, really was. And we actually have to go quite far into the jungle, to be honest. We've got to go all the way to Fortet de Genital. There's an Erdogan focus somewhere really close to here. Supposedly. It's supposed to be at the order of the edge of J7/K7. Oh, J and K. That would be... I see it. It's a bit further south. Of course. Of course there's a lair of Reeve in the middle of the way. Yep, we have reached there.
Look, Ygnas. It's those buffoons from before.
Ah, yes, the two spirits who, accosted the little girl when we first arrived in Adeline.
See what's in her hand? That's the mysterious stone Palomo was talking about, right? The spirits must be harbored within it. She's probably carrying it when you first helped her, too. I bet they just forgot to mask their aura this time. You know how stupid they were when we encountered them before. Look. It looks like I'm right. Chalk one up for old Arciela. This hume is agonizingly slow. Such is our lot. I thought I would perish in there. Yet we did not. Enjoy the freedom we have been given. The horror! Never will I return to that den of iniquity. Ygnas! She needs our help! Where am I? Are you alright, Nylin? I think so. Wait, Princess Arciela? Why are you here? My friend Ygnas and I came to rescue you from the clutches of the spirits who'd led you out here. They took control of your mind and forced you to trek into the jungle, didn't they? But I guess so. I don't know. I'm so confused. It's okay. Just calm down. Anything you can remember would be a big help. Alright, I'll try. At first, I had no idea what was going on. I have no recollection of what I've been doing during parts of the day, and those periods eventually got longer and longer until the stone. The light from within Lynn's mysterious stone fades into oblivion. Well, yes, the stone. The spirits hid within it and would periodically force their way into my head, causing me to submit to their every command. At the same time, though, I was gained with some terrible insight. I'm not really sure how to explain it, except I was able to share consciousness with the entities controlling me. Share consciousness? Yeah. It's like our minds were connected. I could hear them simultaneously grieve for their freedom and apologize for their transgressions. The words, "Let's return home," and our deepest apologies would ring constantly in my own head. Even our emotions seemed linked, for it seems I began shedding tears for their plight even though I resented what they were doing to me. It was surreal, like crying in a dream. My heart still aches to think of what I saw in that state. The fairies apparently got separated from the brethren while frolicking about in the woods. Then a pioneer or someone stumbled upon them, which sent the sprites into a panic, so they hid inside the rock. You were able to learn that because your minds were linked? Yes, though I almost wish I hadn't. I'm glad you emerged from it unscathed. Your parents should be even more relieved when they see you're alright. So let's get you back. Who knew that we and the spirits of the Force could share memories and feelings? If Nylan could do that with Force spirits, then perhaps my brother... Sorry. Forget I ever said anything. This is neither the time nor the place. Anyway, we need to take Nylan home. There should be a frontier station around here if memory serves.
Yes, I came from there. Oh no! Accidentally dismounted! No! This appears to have given Arciela ideas. After all, she does still seek to communicate with her brother, even if he can no longer physically, verbally communicate. Though how she plans on accomplishing this is unknown. But it has at the very least given her ideas. Unfortunately, however, after this next cutscene, we will have to wait an in-game day. Before we can continue. Fortunately, I do have things we can do during that time. That downtime. 335. Then we go all the way through 364. Well, she has been returned. This will put Ingrid and Cassid to shame. We solved the problem.
Father?
Nylin! I'm so glad you're okay. Arciela, thank you so much.
Damn it.
We're truly grateful that you and your frontier friend of yours have done for us, Princess. Oh, I almost forgot that pioneer friend of yours.
Ygnas. His name's Ygnas.
Thank you as well. This reward may not be commiserate with what you receive in the Middle Lands, but it's all I have on hand.
I apologize for the inconvenience I've caused you two, and may you never have to endure an ordeal such as this again. Now maybe Mother can stop nagging you about getting suckered in by shady vendors?
Worry not, my love. I shall never again purchase another obscure bauble as long as I live.
Your daughter's right, Palomio. There's likely ponzas of potential dangers lying in wait within the hinterland. Till we know exactly how upsetting them will influence our own lives, we'd best be careful.
That girl speaks the truth. It's best to let sleeping chocobos lie, so we must never venture forth into the jungle again.
Please, don't put words in my mouth. That's not what I was saying. Either way, it seems what was afflicting Nylin is no more. If that's the case, there's no reason for me to stick around. Goodbye.
I, too, must take my leave and inform Hildebert of what has transpired.
Now that those two are willing to give an ilm, there's nothing we can do to make them cooperate? Nevertheless, I can't believe your intuition, Ygnas. If you hadn't told me she was summoned by the forest by spirits, I'd have never noticed the ore in their house. Nylin would also still be alone and confused in the heart of Henetiel. If you'd arrived even a few minutes later, she might have been eaten by goddess knows what.
Crabs. It would have been the crabs. That's all that exists in that section of the forest are the crabs. Maybe some Velk, but mostly just crabs. You saw the size of those crabs. They're very large crabs. Yeah, but I can't take credit for this. It wasn't our idea.
What? Why can't you take credit for this? Wait, so someone gave you the idea when you found Nylin in the battlegrounds? Who could that be, I wonder?
Yep, white as Velkslobber. A mysterious mantle. And a jewel a Gurren Lagann reference. Seriously, a Gurren Lagann reference. I apparently messed up one of those.
Let me think. Didn't the mysterious guy I know who always wears black and has constant pitch black personality? Ah, I bet you're thinking of Theodore. Ah, that makes sense. Seeing as how he's lived in the Ilbukan mainland for quite some time now. He's sure to know things we don't.
Wait, he lives in the jungle?
Yes, he would. Hey, Ygnas, do you think we could ask him about my brother? Maybe he can shed some light on that situation too. Hey, Ygnas, I just want to say, I believe in you. I know you can figure out what my brother wanted to tell us. I'm not off to pawn off all the responsibility onto you, though. I'll search for Theodore in my spare time as well. Till we meet again.
That man he does not want to be found. It's like every time we encounter him, it's exactly where you expect him to be.
That meddling princess and our adventurer pelt. I feel as if they made a personal mission to assassinate my character. Gah! Nothing ever good comes from being in the same room as them. Yeah. Alright, Ingrid. Calm down. You can't afford to me getting wind of what happened. Not after you promised him you wouldn't make another mistake. Let the Midlander be. When all's said and done, no one would lend ear to a money-grubbing outsider. The true threat to the Exorcist resurgence is the princess. Mark my words, Arciela v. Adeline. Soon enough, you'll regret ever having crossed Ingrid the Merciless.
And we have received 1,000. 1,000? The wiki lists 100. Oh no. 1,000 was for that one. 100's for the next one. But unfortunately, we can't actually do anything for another in-game day, which is nearly 24 in-game hours. Blech. 24 in-game hours hence. But there's something we have to do. We were busy tracking down some runes in the Middlelands for one of our rune fencer jobs, one of our rune fencer quests. And the one I was going to go after next was going to be in Dangrif Wadi, which is in Gustaberg. And this is merely to just unlock basic artifact armor, which I can already get because of other reasons. Now, just that we tracked down the missing girl, the forest spirit, or up to forest spirits. She was technically, it was like she was sharing a consciousness with them, which has given Arciela ideas. And it all revolves around Theodore. But we can't do anything about that for another in-game day, and it's only 6 a.m. So right now we're just doing job. This would be in 14, these would be considered job quests for artifact armor. Artifact armor I can already replace because catch-up mechanics are catch-up mechanics. But whatever. Because in so many of these maps, there are these strange apparatuses. They're always hidden. But they're in so many maps. In fact, I believe they're tied... A lot of them are, I think, tied to, like, the Omega quest line, which is specifically for getting the Mount Omega, which is an entire mess I don't want to do, even though I have all the shards for it. Like, it is an entire involved quest line. That is, like, that's a multi-step... It's a complicated quest. Decently complicated quest line. Among the other things it has. Also, we're basically tracking down the remnants of recordings. Recordings, yes, actual recordings. That the first rune fencer... the founder of the Rune Fencers left behind. When he apparently traveled for no reason into the Middlelands and then just stumbled across all of these random strange apparatuses. No, I'm not sure why, but he just did. See, this looks like an ordinary wall, doesn't it? It's a fake! It may have been a real wall at some point, but it is a fake. I don't think we want to fall down that hole. And instead of looking at the strange apparatus, there's a rune behind it. Let's see, and we are in Dangarif. That means we need to use Undra. For an enhancement, where's Undra? And there's a hazy rune on the back here. The voice of a young woman rings in your head. Rune cipher. Verification required. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Authored successful. 100. Rune containment mode. Now boot. Complete. One. Worked one. Rachnios. You have one unheard message. My name is Severid, journeyman and proselytizer of the runic arts. Undra is said to resonate with this device. Yes, Undra, the flame that silences crackling flames and guards the body from immolation. Come to think of it, don't you find it the least tiniest bit odd that this apparatus ended up in the middle of a valley steaming with hot springs? To make matters worse, you need to jump through a bunch of hoops to activate it. Cryptic indeed. Speaking of which, I don't know a single thing about this device except that it records sound when someone uses runes on it. There must be another reason for its existence. I feel as if I could discover it at any minute, but... yeah, for some reason, there's a lot decided when they made these apparatuses make them resonate with runic energies? I don't get it either. Now, fortunately, the wiki has a complete guide as to the quiz we're gonna take and all of its answers. Like most quizzes in-game, you'd otherwise have to do it yourself. Granted, the game gives you a chunk of information, but... you know, it doesn't give you all the information. For example, this one's entirely about runic resistances, runes and their resistances. Like, apparently, according to in-game, at least lore-wise, if enemies walk around giving specific status ailments, they have, you know, certain weaknesses, and I'm not entirely sure that that's the case. For example, they say that Paralyzed, Stun, and Frost are all indicative that the enemy is weak to fire. I get the Frost, I do, but Paralyze and Stun? Since when is that associated with ice? I don't know. Ah, there it is. Regardless, we need to go to Windhurst. Mainly because we now have gotten the 3 required minimum numbers of runes. There are many other runes. Like I said, there's 8 normal ones, and then there's others. And then there's 3 others that require a ordered set of runes. And no doubt there's additional lore involving those. But not entirely sure that that's the greatest of ideas. But like I said, this is all entirely about ensuring you have a conceptual understanding of what rune fencers involve. You know, your specific runes, your layering of runes, that kind of things. I'm not sure about stats ailments and whether or not that's indicative of anything actually endgame or not, but who knows. It also mentions, asks you about your 4 basic job abilities: Valination, Valeriance, Valiance, Lament, and Foog. And what those are about. Which, those are reducing elemental damage for party members, absorbing elemental damage, or enhancing one's resistance. Now, Foog is an actual term used in Greatsword HEMA. It goes back to the medieval usage of greatswords. And when I mean greatswords, I mean proper greatswords. Like 6-foot-tall swords. Like the Mondante. And the Zweihander. And I believe it is a Zweihander. I think it is a Zweihander manual. Because Foog is German. At least I think it's pronounced Foog. I think the capital P is silent.
Thanks for checking those out.
Now that you know all about the affinities and antithesis of runes, it's time for quiz!
For this test, I'll give you the attributaru of a certain rune, and you answer the one that can counter it. I'll be magnanimous and give you a full 10 seconds to make up your mind.
Oh dear God, it is timed.
Remember, if you can answer all of them correct, Taru, I will acknowledge your qualifications as a rune fencer.
It's time to get this quiz away. Holy. Tenebrae.
Correct, Taru.
Sadistu loves inflicting charm. Tenebrae. Weighs resistances. Oh God, I hit the button. I hit the button too fast. Alright, let's get this out of the way. Start it again. Thunder. That's Tellus. Absorb elemental damage. That's Lament. A Lamon. It's a Virtuoso with Holy. That's Tenebrae. Virtuoso with Drain. You want to use Lux. Virtuoso with Stone. Flabra. Blabra. This is question number 7. Please. Ha-ha! That last one was going to get me because I knew they had that one in there. What question is this one? Okay, that was annoying. Oh, someone has discovered a Mog tablet. Now, I will say there's some use for Balid here, in that the more of the stones you find, the cheaper you can buy your initial set of artifact gear for. It will never cost less than 6,000 Balid, but if you only get the bare minimum, it will be 22,000. I have 3.4 million. Balid is not a concern. It really, really is not. Back to Seekers, Eastern Adeline. That is an interesting strategy. There's an NM coming up in the next quest for Octavian here. I don't pretend to know what those two are talking about. I've received a correspondence from Uhuru debriefing me on your investigation. Congratulations. As for your generously and high-mindedness in undertaking this mission for us, I've commissioned Yetzen Orvitston to craft some high-class armor for you. I specifically told him to forge something that would draw out the powers of any runes you had inscribed upon yourself, so its efficacy is assured. I believe you almost finished hammering out the particulars. Perhaps you should call upon him as soon as you have the time. Oh? What's this I spy? A rune stone? What? Svenjard's voice can be heard from within those cryptic contraptions? Interesting indeed. This undoubtedly warrants further investigation. On behalf of the Order of Orval, I request permission for us to conduct our own surveys. Do you assent? Now that you've imparted 3 stones to us, we must now part ways. But not before we reward you. You get more ballad depending on the number of stones. I see. Never mind. I thought that was the price you had to pay for your armor. I was hoping for ballad sync. No. No, of course not. And of course, this is technically not going to be complete until another in-game day has passed, so Actually, I'm not sure if we can... I'm actually not sure if we can start the next quest while waiting for this one to finish. Huh. We may be stuck at an impasse for, like, 10 in-game hours? Which would not be the worst thing in the world, but seriously. Because I think I've run out of... Because if I have to wait for an in-game day here for it to be able to go to the next Rune Fencer quest, and we're still on the same in-game waiting day to start the Adeline mission, I'm not sure what we're gonna do. I do wonder what map level these guys are communicating on. Because there's absolutely no way, because that's not even... That would have to be like the Novice Network. Also, our poor Geomancer here, Sylvie, no one, and I mean no one, has a high opinion of her. Like, no one does. This poor Geomancer here. Everyone just hates her. I mean, likely she's highly incompetent, and that seems to be half of everyone's disagreement, that she's completely incompetent and terrible at her job and such. But poor Sylvie.
Oh, it's you. Give me a Minotaur and I'll get that equipment Octavian ordered for... That's not what I think Wink it is it? It is. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd get a chance to read the flaveled-wabled secrets of runic enhancement. Give me that! I see. Of course! How could I be so stupid? Unbelievable. Applying these techniques to your equipment Tauru will increase your defense against any malady. Sorry, but I need to alter my designs a bit. I can't in good conscience want to give it to you like this. There's no way I could live with myself if I give it to you in its current state, Tauru. This calls for some alterations!
And, I guess now we have to wait. We can always see if Octavian has anything. It's a shame that guy didn't show up sooner. I would have loved to examine to see what he had in his equipment. Looked like he had a pretty cool looking greatsword. Can I start, Octavian? The next quest? No. I cannot start the next mission. Of course not. On the bright side, once this in-game mission, this in-game wait is done, the next one's significantly further down the line, like right at the end of Chapter 3. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anything else we have going on that we could necessarily do. Yeah, because we're still doing Rune Fencing the Night Away. Oh, Rune Fencing the Night Away, that's using the Trial Sword to get enough kills on it to where that'll enable us to use a particular weapon skill all the time. That's what that one is. We're on Legacies Lost and Found. Huh. There's several quests that I would technically I'm in start of, I guess. But not really. Let me see. Any other interesting thing in the missions? Alright, that's part of the one quest line. No, nothing really. Nothing really on my saved bookmarks of missions that I really care about doing. We just gotta wait for time to pass, I suppose. Something that I'm actually particularly terrible at. And, of course, whenever the game does this, it's also one of those talk to your good friend in the Pioneers Coalition level. Or Leveal. How would you... I'll go show you his name, and you can try and parse how do you pronounce his name. I call him Level. But it could very well be Leveal. But there's no major French influence, so I don't know how do you get away with that. Yeah, our good friend... our good friend Level. I could see that being pronounced Leveal, but I would expect an E on the end of it to be Leveal. Although some people then might call it Levial. What do you think? How do you think this name is pronounced? I pronounce it Level. That's Ravonek. Cibol Rakota. Cathvalio. Florally. Breton. Anywho. I suppose since we've got nothing else to do, we might as well check out what we can do. What our current standing for the heroic deeds are. And probably give an official explanation as to what the heroic deeds are in Final Fantasy XI. they're your monthly objectives for your Records of Eminence, and they're basically a rewards and catch-up system over time. They also have locked behind them one of the best trusts that you could ever have, Monbro, because he's a healer who doesn't use magic to heal. He's an alchemist. And it's absolutely frustrating that he's locked behind, but everyone expects you to have him. And you can get at most 4 objectives done per month. And so that's up to 40 points a month. And Monbro is at least 12 months in. Assuming you can complete all 4 of them, which you're not going to be able to. But they do give you some nice things, such as vouchers for +2 hands. That is your rune arm, your artifact armor. Yeah, that's your artifact armor reforged to +2 for free. I already have a complete set of +1 that I could redeem for artifact +1 gear. I'm gonna save that because that saves so much time and effort. However, that's only artifact gear. There are multiple different types of gear. You have your artifact, your relic, and your Empyrean. Empyrean is generally still very much kind of still the endgame armor, even with the +4 to artifact and relic, although some of those pieces are still useful. Anyway. What do I have this intricate fragment for? What's it used for? Intricate fragment. Really? That's used for creation of... Huh. Interesting. I have no clue where I got this from, but this is apparently used for the creation of relic or upgrading a relic weapon or an ionic weapon for Paladin. No, that's for Lionheart. That's for Rune Fencer. That's for upgrading the Lionheart, is it? Huh. How interesting. And these are just dropped by... Interesting. Interesting. Anyway, sorry, reading into that and what ionic weapons are involved. Anyway, ionic weapons are one of the 4 weapon the primary weapon types for endgame. You have your prime weapon, your ionic, or Ergon. There's also Ergon weapons, but those are very specifically relic weapons, but for Geomancer and Rune Fencer. Why they couldn't have their own, thing is a mystery. Like, they can't have relic weapons. I think it's probably something to do with the coding. But even Dancer has relic weapons. Anyway, it's almost time to head back to level. Just gotta trade in these crests. And we should be able to do that. It didn't say we have to, you know, zone or anything, so that's handy. There's the crests. No clue where I keep getting them from, because it's not like I've had the boosts locked in. So how's everyone been doing? This weird weather's been kind of weird. What with the hot and then the cold and the hot and then the cold again. Oh, that's a samurai. I must examine the samurai. What's his equipment got? That's good. Ah. And that's normally happens for me too. I find what helps with that is technically I think they're cough drops, but the Ricolas are actually really good at that. It's what I actually use constantly when I'm doing the voice acting. I constantly have one. You'll probably hear me toss one in and unwrap them all the time. It's really handy. And they taste really good. And they're just, in general, just extremely good. Okay, he's got Umbra. That would actually not bad if I could find one. That's a Hagnia stone. Gilly earring. That's a Flama ring. Oh, that must be, is this ambuscade gear? I think that's ambuscade gear. Like, he's fairly decently started his journey. Because that looks like ambuscade gear. Well, with the Flama and everything. The ring. Can I get the home point? Thank you. On the bright side, though, spring is around the corner. If nothing else. And we can all look forward to that. Whether or not you look forward to what comes after spring, that's a different matter entirely. On the bright side for spring. I'm looking forward to spring. I'm just not looking forward to the summer times that tend to follow shortly thereafter. Of course, my definition... Ah, yes, those will also do it. I'm just not a general fan of how the halls just kind of... they're a bit too shocking to me. You know, they don't feel like they don't coat my throat in the same way that these Ricolas do. Even though, again, as with most things like those types of lozenges, they are primarily sugar. That's the thing to keep in mind. These things are, in fact, sugar. Like, 90% sugar. Or sugar substitute. They're not healthy in the slightest. The zero sugar ones, though. Those might be interesting. I do find it most interesting that they don't have to have, like, nutrition facts on these. Yeah, that's true. In particular, the ones I've been using are the original herb ones. They're very flavorful. Oh, that's how you can tell that they are pure sugar. It's not good when they hurt your teeth. Almost time. We'll zone just in case. So we'll just stand here by Rising Solace and Volgoy over here. Waiting for 2400 hours. Or as some people would call it, 0 hours. 0, 2400, it's the same thing. It's midnight. Midnight in game. Just so we can finally progress the story even further. Gosh, it is really almost 3:45. We've been at this for nearly an hour and 45 minutes. That's pretty good, I'd say. If we can get through most of Chapter 3, I will be happy. I will be happy if we can get to the next... We should be able to get to the next... At least the next breakpoint. Which is 364. Because we're at 355? We're at 335. Yeah, we're at 335, which is about halfway through Chapter 3. The next in-game wait is just at the end of Chapter 3. If we can get that far in today's stream, I'll be happy. If we have to go past that to the next one, that's only like 5 quests later, and most of those are cutscenes. Oh, it is time to zone. I say that text is just low enough resolution to where I can't even attempt to read it. I don't doubt that that it's meant to say something, but I couldn't tell you what. On the mission after this, there's a mini game we could skip.
Well, if it isn't Ygnas, come look for more trouble, no doubt. Wish I had something to do for you to do, but my slate's clean as the waters on the Fontes Zara. Wait, not really here to see me, are ya? No, I'm looking for someone. Another one of your manhunts, is it? A Theodore, you say? Oh, right, that old fuddy-duddy who's always dressed like he's headed for a funeral. Funny you should mention him. One of my buddies who fancies himself an adept at the games of chance was talking the guy up a few days ago. A few days back. Something about counting cards and loaded dice. Bah, I tuned him out. But if you're looking for Theodore, I checked the Murmurs Coalition. Besides, with that dour look plastered on your face, you could probably use a bit of relaxation. Altana loves all her children, but wouldn't surprise me one bit if that expression makes her even think twice about giving you guidance. Off you go. Let your hair down and gamble away some ballad. Everyone needs an escape now and then. I'll even give you a little bit so you don't have to worry about spending your hard-earned ballad. I don't get enough time off here, so I'm counting on you to have enough fun for the both of us. Thank you, Level, for your 100 pennies. Now granted, they do give you ballad like it would be an actual currency. You know, one that hasn't been horribly inflated. You know, 100 here, 1,000 there, you know, it's decently high numbers. But not at the point you're playing the game, and the fact that you had to have at least fame level 2 and some imprimatur spent, at this point you're rolling in tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of ballad already. And if you've done like I have and maxed all the coalitions, because you need to have that done, 3.4 million is the bare minimum. 3 million is... millions is not unheard of. And so we gotta talk to our good friend Masad over here. At least that's how I would pronounce his name. It's Masad. Assuming I haven't accidentally bought the key item. I may have bought the key item already. Ah, there you are, Theodore. Well, well, my dearest Ygnas. Pray tell, how everything went with the young lady you were after? Oh, you say you teamed up with our fair princess. The two of you have been seeing quite a lot of each other lately. But enough small talk. What can I do for you today? I presume you did not simply approach me to stare in my impeccably groomed mustache. Well, he does look dapper. But there's other reasons. A bit of a hot button issue these days. Well, we've had our fair share of dealings of late, and of course I'm inclined to help. But to be frank, I've become bored with my lot of late. And of all things have their price. As an adventurer, you must understand, treasure means more when you have to overcome adversity to obtain it. In exchange for my aid, I would ask you to play a game with me. No, I promise there will be no riddles this time. I propose a mere game of chance, say boom or bust. One round would leave too much to chance, however, we shall make it best of 5 affair. Should you emerge the victor, I will aid you in whatever you seek. Let us engage in this mini-game because why not? You look pale. Feeling the pressure? I jest. This is a game between friends. There's no need for you to stiffen up like a day-old loaf of bread. It is all skill and a little luck. Who does Altana favor this day? Okay. Each round is played by either shooting or staying. This is just like our Corsair rolls, which are entirely RNG based. Getting more than 11 will cause you to bust. Rolled a 3. We will shoot. To advance or retreat. May fate decide! Ooh, that's mixing. Okay, that was a 4. Let's have a look at what he has. Let's have a look at his second shot. Number 2 is a 5. So we've got a 7. He rolled a 5 on the second one. I'm gonna go bust, and I know it. Yep, there's 5. We got rolled a 12. We've already busted. I mean, we already busted. A 6. Oh, that makes 7 again! Game!
Oh, we've still busted. We still busted. I think we both busted. Of course! Okay, a 3 is fine. That just makes a 5. That's perfectly fine. Seven again? Seriously. Oh. I'll take that. I'll take a 10. Yeah. Ha-ha! We are currently 1-1-1. One of us needs to win at least 3, and preferably me. Ooh, a 5 right off the bat. That is dangerous. Oh! That's a 9. We pulled a 9. I'm going to hold on a 9. That brought us up to a 10. That's perfect. Because it's unlikely he pulled an 11. Another draw. That's a 6 on turn 1. Golly, why would you do that? I will take your shot number 2. What are the chances of him pulling a 6? I can't believe I rolled 2 6s in a row. That is just rude. Of course. He seems to roll fairly consistently 10s, and that's very annoying. I've literally rolled 3 6s in a row. That is ridiculous. I will take your first one. Ha, the total is now 7. Ah, no! Seriously! Okay, my total is now 8. So unless he busts, we've lost. See, he consistently pulls 10s. That's ridiculous. An most unfortunate turn of events for you. We had a deal, no victory, no discussion. I wish you better luck in your next go at it. That was terribly annoying. Also, yeah, that's exactly what they would do. And that was, in fact, the only way to progress this quest. Pre-Rhapsodies. Once you have gotten to Rhapsodies, well, if you can purchase the key item, there's a key item you can purchase for 1,000 gil, supposedly, assuming you've gotten at least the Rhapsodies in Azure, which I believe we have. Curio vendor. Wait, those are actual keys. That's not what I'm looking for. Various key items. There it is, the card jailer, Theodore. Now we don't have to play his silly game. I was willing to let it run the first time, assuming we won it. But a second time through, no. Must add. Well, congratulations, my friend. With the look on your face, was not sure you'd make it. What did you wish to discuss? Ah, about Ygnas. I see. That's so. I think I understand. What you truly seek is the reason why Ygnas pointed his twig of a finger at his younger sister. Why, the answer's so obvious that I'm amazed you came to me at all. Think, Rachnios. Was he really pointing at Arciela? Or something else? I'm sure he'd be loath to point at another, as it goes against the very basics of etiquette. Begging your pardon, but would you do me the favor of pointing at me? See, Rachnios? Like that. When one points at another, he instinctively goes for the chest. Let me ask you to think carefully. Where was Ygnas pointing? More at the quote-unquote sword. He's pointing at her waist.
at the sword, Orthrazine. Ha! And pray tell, what is it about her waists that warrants pointing out? Her sword. Precisely. Arciela was not the subject of his gaze. Rather, what truly caught his eye was the sword at her side. Don't you agree? So it would seem. Now, the question you must ask yourself is, what does all this mean? You're a smart man, Ygnas. Surely you don't need me to spoon feed you. His message was intended for you, was it not? I suppose I have a few years on you, but it wouldn't be too much for you to expect me to provide you all the answers. I am not an oracle blessed with the ability to see truth hidden behind shadows. Best I could do is provide you tiny insights into the realm of possibilities. Now, if I were you, I would start by finding out all I could about Arciela's blade. And if I had to find information somewhere, where would that be? I leave this mystery in your capable hands, Ygnas. Well, there's one person we know who's constantly swimming in rumors. Who seems to know, in general, where to find knowledge about things. And that is our good old friend at the Pioneers Guild level. He'll at least be able to point us in the right direction. And that kind of makes sense. Arciela being called the Key did not really make that much sense. The sword, on the other hand, seeing as how it is supposedly the sword the Founder King used to forge this pact with Obuka, well, that makes more sense. Oh, it's Ygnas again. What do I owe the honor this time? Orthrazine. Ah, you mean the mysterious blade of hers that she's always keeps buckled at her waist. Orthrazine, you called it? Must be something special to have an enigmatic moniker. Wish I could help you, but my specialty lies in pioneering and colonization. Afraid it won't be much else. Much use. Now, if you wanted to know more, where would you find that more?
Well, look who the cat dragged in. If it isn't Ygnas here in the flesh. What a coincidence. Let me give you a piece of advice. Not as a maester, but as a person. Don't rely on whispers and rumors for information. Look, read, feel, find things out on your own. And when it comes to reading, there's one place in Edlin that stands above all. Where else? The Celiana Memorial Library. Stop wasting your time floundering around my good-for-nothing subordinates and pull your way over there. Volumes of knowledge speak more truth than this moron could ever muster. And since I'm already berating you, Level, stop sticking your nose where it doesn't belong!
Yeah.
You think I'm making some kind of joke? We'll see how much energy you have left to mock me after I double your shift and take away your lunch break.
But my boiled tomatoes will spoil.
So today we've learned someone cherishes his meals more than his job.
No, not like that at all. Standing here and providing guidance helps my day shine brighter than the statue of Altana.
Then let me bring a little more light to your life by having you come in this light day.
Oh, gotta save me! Rectus, what are you still doing here? Didn't I tell you to take that scrawny frame of yours over to the library? Hut tut! If you don't get out here right now, well, let's just say my claws are due for some good sharpening. That's the first time the Master of the Pioneers Guild has showed up and decided to make herself known. I love the Mithra characters. They're actually some of the better ones. I suppose off to the library. Which again, extremely small library. Ah, Ygnas, always a pleasure to have you pay us a visit. Our fair princess is not here today, but I'd be glad to assist you in any way I'm able. Arthrazine? The Sword of the Founder King, you mean? All our books on historical happenings and artifacts are located on the shelves towards the back of the room. I have but one request. Please do not cause much of a ruckus this time. Heroes and Legends of Adeline. The first chapter, floridly titled White Wings of the the Swallow, Bring Glory unto Our House, contains a vivid description of the Founder King's exploits in Nobuka, as well as the variety of minutiae about royal retainers. And so it came that the Founder King, may his glory blossom eternal, advanced unto the continent with 11 of his most trusted retainers. In one fell swoop he severed the heads of 100 beasts, and the very trees parted before his noble visage, their gems genuflecting as he passed further into the jungle. But the innermost reaches refused to yield even so to one so steadfast a will and righteous a spirit as his majesty. If he could not breach the veil, then what hope did his 11 retainers have? One by one they fell to the demon's teeth, as long as greatswords, and claws as sharp as daggers, or brambled vines whose choking grasps injected venoms into the retinue's writhing flesh. Only one remained resolute in the name of impending doom. The unwavering Mortemar of the Order of Shendik, whose axe cleaved foe after foe in twain in name of our king. And then the continent began to turn on them. What happened to them that day is lost to the ages. Yet the Founder King surely stared into the cold gaze of death as he lay beneath that shrouded canopy. As darkness clouded his eyes, he feebly rose his right hand, presented Mormar his blade and a tiny keepsake, and with his last breath murmured, "Never again shall men set foot into the wilds of Ulbuka." Mortimer solemnly accepted these gifts as the former Founder King bid him return to Adoulin in his stead. Mortimer hurried back to his city, spreading the Founder King's dying words to all. His duty fulfilled, he marched back into the wilds, never to be heard from again. But they have a tomb for the Founder King beneath the city. Interesting. Depictions of various jewels, paintings, earthenware, and more adorn the tome's faded yellow pages. For a tomb, you do. Otherwise, it's a cenotaph. If there's no body, it's not a tomb. Just like if there's no body, it's not a grave. It's a cenotaph. Orthrazine. This blade, specifically a poniard, was wielded by the late Founder King from the age of 6 until his untimely demise in the wilds of Ulbuka. Okay, that explains its size. It's a kid's sword. Since then, each of Adoulin's kings have kept the blade at their side, not just as a ceremonial object, but also as a solemn reminder of the Founder King's dying words. Note, Arciela is the one who has Orthrazine, not the current head of the Order of Adoulin, her brother, Ygnas. Granted, Ygnas did give it to her when he opened up colonization. In more recent history, the dissolution of the monarchy means that no one has ruling authority over the city, yet each Grand Chancellor continued to uphold this most ancient of customs. Owing a large part to the circumstances of the legendary poniard returning to Adoulin after its Founder King's fall, rumors abound that the blade holds a latent talent within it. Yet none have seen it do anything more than hang at its owner's waist. I'm beginning to suspect that it's entirely possible that the king was murdered. A colorful depiction meant for a younger audience depicts a 3-yalm-tall beast of an unknown species rearing on its hind legs to confront a battle-ready Founder King. And the biggest monster Adoulin ever did see rose up and bared its fangs at the king. How big was it? I'd say it's even the biggest mountain would look like the tiniest vermin nest. The Founder King's head nearly fell from his shoulders, straining to look up at its face. Its fur sparkled with the light of the bright sun above. Its claws were bigger and sharper than even the king's sword. Oh, it also gave out a mighty roar. Grah! "Leave this to me," the king bellowed as he shielded his friends, and so he fought the beast all by himself. They fought for 7 days and 7 nights, until the beast finally apologized for making the king mad. Uh-huh. "Who are you?" the king asked. "My name's Turkluan," the beast replied. Turklin? What is it? So Turklin, what is it? You lost. which means you must obey me.
Of course, master.
Hmm.
And that's how the big scary beast came to travel with the king deep into the jungle. There was no mention of a beast. Did you find what you were looking for? Possibly. All volumes, tomes, and treatises ever published in Adeline find their way onto our shelves. If it exists, you'll find it here. You wish to learn more about the princess's sword? Would that I could help you further, but if what you seek is not located within our annals, then I'm unable to do so. Perhaps the one who knows most about the blade would be its wielder, Princess Arciela herself.
I had an inkling my words would bring out the bookworm in you, Rachnios. I was thinking back to our conversation and recalled an old legend about the blade in question. I'm pleased I found you before you departed. Is your research complete? Oh, I have impeccable timing then. And tell me, have your studies borne fruit? I'm interested in hearing what you've learned. Then we can discuss this legend of mine. The Saliana Memorial Library shines once more. A veritable treasure trove of information, to be sure. And your discoveries will help you put this in proper context. Let me regale you with the tales I've heard, though they may differ slightly from what other sources tell.
I'm pausing here, because I'm linking things in my head. Pale man lives in the middle of the jungle, surrounded by all those beasts, is super pale, which implies he does not see the sun very often. I'm just going to put this out there and throw this out. I think this is Moramar. Like, straight up. If he's not the Founder King, which I don't think he is, I think this is Moramar. Moramar was the only one who's listed as having survived and then just left. At an age whence shade... Oh, good God. Why would you... In an age whence shade darkens his land, the warrants of the forest shall flock... Nah, I can't even parse that. The marked blade. Of the marked blade, yet only with the swallows whited. Hence, one of the white... That's like trying to parse actual Middle English. Like Canterbury Tales era English. Maybe even early Shakespeare, before Shakespeare started standardizing English. The words are very tangled. But I can parse chunks of it.
I have faith you can puzzle it out. Think of it as a mental exercise that may aid you in your quest. Fare thee well, Rachnios, as my task for the day is done, and my games of chance await. Huh. Sure. Sure, Theodore. Well, we definitely need to seek out the princess. And if she's not at the library, there's like one other place she would be. Well, two other places. She'd either be in the forest, as she is wont to do, or she's up at the castle. Oh boy. It's a lot to get into, that is for certain. If you've made it past the play online boss, most other things are not going to be that much of a struggle. I would suggest focusing primarily on the records of eminence. That'll get you most things you need to do. And especially focusing on your rank missions in whatever your chosen city-state is. That's the main story for the base game. The wiki is a great tool for like probably 95% of the quests. It does have some incorrect information in there, but it's very few and far between. Well, there is a new, the 0.45 patch is happening on Tuesday.
Well, I'll be. Look who it is. Wait, who are you again? Heavens, where was it I saw you? Let me think, was it the place? With the thing? Oh, right! One of the pioneers that's on everybody's lips. Was it Rachnios?
Well, yes.
Oh, hooray! I got it! I just knew I could! Oh, but sweet mercy, there's no time to talk! You wouldn't happen to have seen the princess, would you? I mean Arciela, silly! But you knew that, didn't you?
No, I've not seen her.
So you haven't? Oh, what a terrible conundrum! You don't suppose she's ran off to the forest again?
Why would she go to the forest?
To be honest, I'm not sure either. I thought you'd know better than I. After all, the two of you have seemed to have been through a lot together. She tries to smile and laugh it off, but let me tell you, under that happy exterior, she's been suffering inside. Yep. I mean, have you heard about her brother? He's just so adorable! Oh, I just want to squeeze him and bite those little toes off!
Yep, I knew it.
Oh dear, I didn't say that, and no one can prove that I did! Ahem. Be that as it may, Arciela is stricken with worry. And not just for her brother, mind you. You should hear all the ruckus between the pro and anti-coalition factions happen to be meeting the halls. It tears her up so much that I can't blame her for wanting to escape from the castle. It's just like back then.
Back then?
This is the only story I heard from my mother, who'd been nursing Arciela since after she was born. It was back before Ygnas ascended to the Grand Chancellor. Ygnas was quite a clever young man, but still, a child's a child.
His father was always droning on to him about whether or not the colonization should recommence.
The castle grew dark, the tension was so thick you could stab it with a fork.
Arciela always puts on the brave facade of hers, but she detests such heated arguments. She's always been quite sensitive and delicate, you see. So one day, she said enough was enough, and left the castle for the wildlands. Imagine, such a place is dangerous even for prepared adults. What hope would a young child have of coming back alive? Of course, a search party was dispatched as soon as they figured out what happened, but no one could find her. Having all but given hope when, 1 week later, one of the soldiers found her asleep in the grassy meadow, one of the few places where light shone through the forest floor. Arciela was surrounded by all manner of fauna, circled around her frail form as if protecting her. The tale goes that when the party approached her, the beasts did not attack, but slowly left, one by one, receding back into the tree line. But it's so much stranger. 1 week she'd been in the forest, and yet there was not a single scratch on her pale skin, and her tummy named not as much as a single rumble. What's more, Arciela had not a single memory of what she'd been doing during that time. The only clue we had was a piece of cloth, marked with a peculiar sigil she had clutched tightly in her left hand. A sigil. A sigil? What? I was just a sweet, innocent girl barely about to blossom into a stunning young woman. Why would I know about that? Would you please stop making that face? No. When they saw the sigil embroidered on that piece of cloth, the heads of the 12 orders stood straight up in their chairs. So I heard. Hildebert said in his usual stuffy voice, "To think that he would bring such shadows onto our fair city." In other words, all those bigwigs felt that this man, whoever he was at Arciela's side. All too mysterious, don't you agree? She came back to the castle happier than anyone had ever seen her. Before that, she'd been a bit of a shut-in, never passing through the castle gates. But she started to walk around the city more after the incident. And when Ygnas took the mantle of Grand Chancellor, she started venturing into Ulbuka more often. You know what? Things were just like they were then. Never once did the denizens of the jungle so much as breathe on her. Baffles me to the high heavens. Soldiers and pioneers come scurrying back with their tails between their legs, but some mysterious power shields our princesses from harm. Mysterious. Though she may be beloved by a certain portion of our citizenry thanks to those events, it's more than a few who view her with unease. Some even call her the wild-born witch. Oh, my dear poor Arciela. Why must people say such foul things? There's not a kinder soul in all of Adeline. It burns my blood to even think of it. Oh, Ygnas, I didn't mean to take it out on you. It's just so overwhelming, you know? Now that you understand why I believe she must be wandering the wildlands if she's not in the castle. The next time you go to the Ulbukan mainland, please, bring her back with you.
Of course I will.
I'm glad to hear it. I worry about her so. After all, we live in troubling times. Her brother needs her perhaps more than any of us do. So again, By Altana, what's going on?
It's Arciela. She...
What's going on? Out with it!
She's been abducted by monsters!
What?
Well, that was unexpected. And we need to go here to somewhere around I7/J8. It is to the southwest from the frontier station. There it is. Most important line in this spot on the wiki. The target is next to some twigrip lapinions and a tree. And that one just happened to be standing right here between our target and a tree. What a ridiculous game sometimes.
Why did you, of all people, have to show your seemingly unseemly cratered face around me? It's more unsettling. Though as a creature so base and primitive could possess such unbridled powers.
What happened?
A tiger happened. That is what? A gargantuan feline with fur as fittedly arcuate as gill dropped in a gutter and carried her off in its slobbering jaws. The thing towered 3 full persons above us. Never have I seen such a grotesquerie of such a cloud-cleaving proportions. Not only that, but its deafening roar shook every tree and stone in sight.
Oh, that sounds like the beast from the Child's Tale.
A single glance into its beady eyes was all I needed to know that this monstrosity would shred Adelin's entire populace to bits to satisfy its uncanny thirst for blood. I swear on my life that I could see those ferocious teeth puncture the princess's fair skin as it whisked her into the jungle. It was all I could do to stay conscious when I caught the wind of its breath. The odor could only be described as the mephitic stench of death.
And why were you here?
The stupidity of your question causes my head to throb in pain. What else could I be doing here except searching for the princess? It's only elementary that we expend most of our utmost efforts to return the order of Adelin's most beloved personages to her homestead. If she goes missing, I suppose even that concept proves convoluted to someone who knows only how to spill blood rather than preserve it. Of course, another exorcism. I'd probably call them spookamouts or something equally idiotic is necessary. But just when we thought we found her, this is what happens when your opponent is too craven to face you head on. I do not expect a savage beast to understand the concept of honor,
But deception and trickery are the only tactics which he may employ to best someone of my caliber. The injustice of it all makes it even more... My visceral organs boil with rage. We were ilms away of bringing her home. Prating about it, however, will accomplish nothing. I would like nothing more than to go barreling into the depths of the forest and rescue our maiden distress. But such stratagems befit no one but dim-witted adventurers who've heard one too many heroic ballads. An organized search party suits the situation best, not a misdirected band of vigilantes. Feel free to play your little game of sword and spell all you want, but we competent adults will return to Castle Adeline and devise a full, thought-out plan. Well, that is kind of all we have to be able to do, I suppose. I mean, we could go rushing off on our own, but that's not going to stop, you know, the heads of the 12 organizations from doing God knows what. And whether or not they like it or not, we are heavily involved in this. Although that beast is very reminiscent of what's in that child's tale. Is it true that Arciela was spirited away? Oh, that poor girl! If the latest reports are to be believed, then it is indeed true. Oh, I can't get the accent for this man right. He is French. If the latest rumors are to be believed, then it is... Oh, yeah, I cannot... this man has an ever-changing accent. Then it is indeed true. Apparently a behemoth-thick creature snatched her up in its jaws and fled into the jungle's inner recesses. Perhaps snatched up is a bad euphemistic. From what I've heard, gulped down would be more appropriate. If that's the case, she should swallow her pride and relinquish her title of wild-born witch. Melvin! Do you understand how inappropriate that was? My pardon, Gradzig. Still, I get the metado of his argument. She's wandered off into the forest hundreds of times and emerged without a scratch. Didn't she sleep-weep amongst the fauna all by her lonesome, too? She should be fine, even if we make like trees and leave her alone. Plus, maybe the Beastaro just took her for one of its cubs and carried her back to its den. Completely absurd to entertain such an idea. Never knew how true rang the phrase, wise men speak when they've something to say, fools because they have to say something until now. And you care to impart us with wisdom regarding this incident, Ingrid? I witnessed the whole thing. I must profess that the walking atrocity in question had nothing more on its mind than to tear our dear princess limb from... I propose we send out a search party for Arciela, which I will command as soon as possible. We cannot lose even a moment to superfluous debate simply for the sake of following procedure. You nominate yourself as commander? I thought that went without question.
I wholeheartedly approve this measure. After what's befallen Ygnas, Arciela is the last descendant of the Founder King who can lead our nation to glory. There's no time to waste on mustering troops. The Exorcist will be happy to send their unit of elites, which can be mobilized immediately.
How weird. I never thought I'd live to see Lord Vortimir volunteering to help Arciela, let alone put his most valued troops at risk on her behalf. Being part of the Founder King's lineage must be even more important than I'd thought. We'd be ever grateful for your help, Vortimir. I, for one, place the fate of our nation in your capable hands.
Thank you for the vote of confidence, Svenja. We shall not betray your trust. Oh, the palm is glowing red. That's not normal. Ygnas, what are you trying to convey?
I just had an epiphany. How about we have Ygnas take part in your expedition? He has traversed the Albucan continent time and again. His expert knowledge of the field may be an invaluable addition to your squad.
With all due respect, Lady Svenja, it would be detrimental for our country to rely on an outsider at this juncture.
He may be from another land, but Arciela has formed a deep bond with him that transcends nationality. I'm truly sorry to heap such an arduous task upon you like this, but would you do us the service of accompanying the exorcists in search of our princess?
Of course.
Oh, I cannot adequately express the depth of my gratitude toward you. What a kind soul you are.
If there's no further debate, I shall set about rallying my unit. But please, I beseech you, keep this incident a secret. We wouldn't want our fair citizens to worry over an issue that is basically solved, would we?
Ygnas?
The creatures that skulk amongst Ulbuka's wilds have claimed the lives of many an unprepared pioneer. It may well behoove you to acquaint yourself with the enemy before endeavoring to slay him. Can you acquaint me with the tiger? I must say you have an excellent sense of humor. Sadly, however, I've been within the city walls this whole time and know practically nothing about the beast. The answer's right under your nose. The Pioneers Coalition's here to serve pioneers. Bah, Lord Vortimir may have said to keep this under the table, but I hardly think mentioning a golden tiger would arouse suspicion. However, that does intrigue me that... Oh, never mind. Forget I said a word. I wish you a swift and convincing victory, Ygnas. Well, if it's the Pioneers Guild we need to go to, there's only one person we can talk to. And that's our good friend, Level. Our good old friend, Level. Or Leveal, again. How would you pronounce that name? Well, howdy, partner. Hope it hasn't been too rough out in the range. So what can I do you for? The princess? I'm dadgum honored to hear that you think I know anything about her. I'm simply bison-handed. A golden tiger, you say? Leveal? Or Leveal? Okay.
By golly, I'd be spurning my mount harder than a Twitherum dust storm to get out of get to wherever one of them was. Bigger than a boulder and bangs like logs to boot. Yeesh, I'd be better off sweeping the stables. Out of the way. Ain't got nothing on the beastie fitting that description. Maybe Scouts Coalition does, though. Laville. See, for some reason, if I were to pronounce it Laville, I would want an E on the end of it. Like, something about that just screams to me that it needs an E on the end of it. But that could just be... Laville. Okay. The problem is I live up here in Michigan where half of our words are completely not pronounced how they're spelled because French. Like, the two spellings of Mackinac, one is French, the other is English spelling. Bet you didn't know that. There's Charlevoix. Yeah, look up how Charlevoix is spelled. That's pronounced Charlevoix. Or Sault Ste. Marie. That is French. That is entirely because French. And we're Scouts Guild. There you are. Magellan.
Why, if it isn't Ygnas? I did not misremember your name, did I? Oh, thank the heavens! I do remember clearly, however, that you were present at that fateful gathering of heads. I'm constantly dangling from a slippery precipice upon which my myriad critical matters hang in the balance. Certainly is a wonder how I managed to remember anything at all. I suppose it is neither here nor there. I doubt you care to know why it is so hard for me to dredge up your alias from this riverbed of my mind. You carry our nation upon your back as you clear your way through for progress, and you are currently in the process of uncovering where the light of our brightest star has gone.
Yeah, I've heard it people from not Michigan try and pronounce it, and it's like, yeah, that's not how that's pronounced at all, because French. Also, I want to say Mackinac City is the English spelling, and Mackinac Island is the French spelling. I might have those backwards, but I think that's how it is. Yeah, Charlevoix, or Charlevoix. I've heard it try to pronounce Charlevoix. It's Charlevoix. Because we've Englishized the French. But yeah, Sault Ste. Marie is another one I always point to. Because it's like, yeah, we've got some French up here. Not nearly as bad as like Louisiana has it, but we've got some French up here that has some pretty prominent influence.
Why would someone of your standing want with our Scouts Coalition? But first, let me preempt your inquiry with a corollary. Despite our collective effort to gaze above and beyond our borders, we still do not know what has become of that star. Oh, but if you do not wish to know of her whereabouts, I have not a clue why you're here. Ah, I see that Goliath with towers for teeth and tree-thick pledge. Peliage is what you seek. Regrettably, I haven't heard a whit about that particular colossus. That feline part, though, does rub me a certain way. I take it you've heard of Kumau, the Flash Frost Nakul?
All other bestial Helians that stalk the Ulbukan jungle look up to him in fear. If a creature like that were on the whole continent... If there were a creature on the whole continent who'd know this monstrosity's weakness, whereabouts, it'd be him. Sorry, I've got nothing further to offer. I can't imagine you need much more. Where can you meet him? That would be pertinent information indeed. He may be found prowling the banks of the lake that lies within Kamir Drifts, and is rent by the cries of deities. As you will not be heading into battle, you'll require a special device to make your intentions known. Just a moment. Here you go. Take this with you when you visit those snowy dunes that lie too far to the northwest. The Inventors Coalition developed some tintinabulum. This tintinabulum. And it releases a special noise when rung. To people like us, it's silent as snow-covered night. But for some creatures, let's say it gets their attention. I'll admit it's neither orthodox nor a safe method, but desperate times call for desperate measures. I'm loath to put someone who's done so much for our alliance in harm's way. I can't think of a more appropriate solution at this point. Remember, emphasize you harbor no ill will and are only there for the golden tiger. This'll stem the tide of his rage and keep you alive. I hope. Good luck out there. You'll surely need it. Now, because I've been everywhere on this map and unlocked the entire map, I can just go straight to Kamir Drifts. Which, yes, this add-on that makes the maps readable with all their little things is very handy. But also a bit spoilerific because, look, that's Kumhao himself. Does that not look entirely like like it might be a thing? Oh, hello.
Silence that infernal racket! What business have you in my domain? Think before you speak, for your life will be forfeit depending on your response. Such trivial topics are beneath me.
Please, I mean you no harm.
Is that so? Then what was that cacophonous device? My ears still ring from the horrible discord it produces. If you truly need more harm, you will dispose of that thing immediately. Or else...
Okay, it's gone.
Let me guess that you had no
idea how loathsome that contraption was. Your panicked manner gave it away. What an interesting stratagem. I must praise whoever outfitted you with that bell.
Very much, pretty kitty. Do you know where they took Arciela?
What's this? Adeline's figurehead princess has been abducted. Perhaps that belated vestige of the ancient pact she hangs from her belt is simply for show. Either that or she is hardly the Spitfire everyone paints her to be. Even so, I can't imagine any inhabitant of this jungle would dare attack her. Except for possibly him. He's the only one likely to know the whereabouts of the girl. Make for the cave that serves as his den in the southwestern corner of the drifts if you wish to find her.
At least the not cool, who are entirely... The not cool are things you can, in fact, fight. In fact, you have to. In order to really boost your capacity point production. Let's see, and you exit via the West Tunnel. Via the West Tunnel, which is this one. Then you turn right and head north. Nice, I'm assuming I'm going the correct direction. Till you reach an inlet at the northmost point of G10. Yep. We are up here. Go down the slope and into the cave, through the cave. Through the cave. Then travel southwest till you see the crawling cave target point. Is this gonna be it? Yes, there it is. The crawling cave here. Oh, he's not that large. He's large, but he's not 3. He's not that large.
Have you come to finish what you started?
Huh?
Sadly for you, I have. Is your head to malform the concept of order, Middlelander?
I thought I told you to report to the castle if you learned anything. If you had, I would have let you live. Instead, your paltry attempt to exercise your intellect has sealed your fate. Do not take this personally. I did all I could to keep outsiders like you from meddling in this issue between Adelernians. It is what it is. Arachnios, listen to me. The tiger is not our enemy. He actually saved me from Ingrid and her horde.
Of course. Ingrid's behind it. What about that other kitty?
Is it true you found a cure for my brother's illness? Of course, Princess. The answers you seek lie deep in the forest. Allow me to take a stab at escorting you there.
Aha.
Where is it you are taking me, Ingrid? You shall see. What are you doing? It's nothing personal, Arciela. It's only that your archaically conservative attitudes about expansion are starving Adeline of its future. If only we're less of a sniveling waif that kowtows to every sprite in the forest, colonization would have gone on unabated. And his ideal world would have been realized.
It would have done all of us a favor if it had killed Ingrid at this point. Unfortunately, it was not quite so effective. Though it did body her something fierce. All it needed to do was one bite, and it would have saved us a major headache.
Wait.
One bite was all it needed to do.
This tiger saved my life. Be a good girl and accept your fate already. I knew it would come to this. Try and see if you can protect that whimpering wretch. Little do you know, I need not take one step closer with this, my soul siphon. Now that I have this, I have no use for its mortal husk. Withdraw, my retainers. It's time to put the next step of our play in motion.
Ygnas? I am Darklin, descendant of Tecluran, who once presided over the entire expanse of this jungle. Worry not about the girl. I shall look after her. You need only concern yourself with pursuing that foul-mouthed shrew. What you want with the soul of this maiden here is beyond me. I cannot abide by this egregious transgression. Take this with you. It will enable you to discern even the faintest thaumaturgical trace of any who have trod upon my territory. Sadly, however, its effects are fleeting at best. Should its potency dwindle to naught, heed me another visit, and I will provision you with another forthwith. The longer we wait, the less likely it is that we can retrieve her soul.
Well, that got complicated very, very quickly. I mean, I kind of knew Ingrid was going to be a problem. I just didn't think it was going to be that much of a problem that quickly. We're in Sidrus Caverns. Since when did the piles of rubble move? Those are not piles of rubble.
Do you hear that, Ygnas? It sounds like those thieves are about to meet their maker. Those Lilithic figures were once deadly beasts. They were petrified long ago, however, by the 7 guardians of the forest who had sworn fealty to August and his retinue. But now I fear they...
Impossible. They are but mere rocks, and I am the most arrogant exorcist they have ever produced. Also probably the youngest, but still, most arrogant is very much true. And now we begin a battle. I'm gonna do something silly. And I'm gonna throw it on Ingrid. Moreover, since I have the trust of Mortimer, I may as well summon him. Okay, that does not look exactly like Theodore at all. So I'm probably wrong about him being Theodore. Probably. Probably. I won't say for certain that I am. Also, for those of you who are unaware of the developments going on within Final Fantasy XI's development community, the March update is coming. As we all know, it starts about the 9th or the 10th of the month. I don't remember which. Somewhere around there. They're going to be implementing a trust upgrade system. It's their words, not mine. To try and help solo play. Because, honestly, at item level 119, most of your, most trusts are basically useless. I mean, realistically, for most situations, what you really want to do with your trusts is just have them buff you, because you will do the most damage. Although, we appear to be dying pretty quickly. Was a problem. Start on a one for all. Ah, they got a magic burst out. Shantoto did. Not that did a lot of damage to it, but why would you even bother saving us? The answer is your survival was superfluous. I don't need a reason, but also your survival was not a guarantee, nor something I really cared about. Are we so far beneath you to even deserve an answer? Prithee, enlighten me as to how the weather fares upon thy high horse, my lord. hardly deserve to hold on to this after such an embarrassing display. So you may have it back. Now that Arciela has not perished, her soul is merely transferred to a different vessel. Once you use this, all shall revert as it was. With the exceptions of us exorcists, that is. There's nothing left for us now but to atone for our failures.
Yes, failures of your own stupidity. Good God, Ingrid. Like, good God, woman. What made you think that that was even a smart thing to do in the first place? Ever the ambitious one. Both her and Vortimir. Both her and Vortimir. I'm surprised Ingrid accompanied us back.
If I were you, Arciela, I'd never forgive me for betraying you. Thus, I shall graciously accept whatever punishment you wish to mete out to me. Look at me, Ingrid. We may reside on opposite sides of the colonization issue, but we're both Adelinians. This nation has no hope for survival if we resort to violence. Isn't that right?
we could, oh, whoa, wow. Oh, I forget sometimes how brutal 11 can be with its options. Oh, no, we're not going to say to kill her. Never has a true word been spoken.
Someone once said, great minds think alike, and I'd like to think he was talking about us when he said it. Well, Ingrid, there you have it. There's no point in letting old wounds fester. But I took my soul? Perhaps. But I'm still alive and well. And that's all that really matters, right?
How can you be so forgiving?
It's obvious that the Exorcist's aid was vital to ensuring the colonization continues. For the good of our nation, I don't want to burn bridges that don't need to be. Wouldn't you agree? As you will.
I'd venture to say her heart is bigger than the big bridge. However, that may be very well.
You look rather out of sorts, Ygnas. Is everything alright?
That beast can't communicate with me.
What? You say you can hear him inside your head? I hate to say it, but I can't hear a thing. Wait, could that fruit that Rosaletia gave you possibly work in its magic here? If it does, that means this is the start of a whole nother saga. And here I thought we were about to find a cure for my brother's ailment.
The sword is actually what we're here for. Good lord.
what about my brother's gesture? I think he was not pointing to me, but to Orthozine? Now that I think about it, I also swear I've heard that cryptic riddle Theodore told you before. Oh, I know! It's remarkably similar to a poem my father would tell us as children. I remember because his face would always become eerie and eerily grave whenever he told it. I'm pretty sure I also heard it on the night I first saw Orthozine. The poem I heard isn't exactly the same as what Theodore told you, but I believe it goes like this. In an age which shade den his land, the oar of the swallow's right word shall be fulfilled. The warrant of the force shall rise, the mark blade high, and one of the white feather shall floshen the sword sext. Again, not sure what some of those words mean. So the blade and Orthozine, and the time of prophecy is our own? Yes, Ygnas, that must be it.
I have no clue where we came to this conclusion, nor what we're exactly trying to do. The marked blade high. Oh. Oh, hello, Moramar. I accidentally spoiled you. I'm sorry, folks. I did not realize I was going to accidentally spoil that man was still alive. My bad. My bad. We'll pretend we don't know that that's him.
What the? A dragon.
Oh, hello, Race Vulgar. What are you doing from Final Fantasy XIV? The scourge of the land. Rumored to have emerged from Vana'diel's primordial muck with the birth of the Obukan continent. This pearlescent worm inevitably appears before Adelinians in the midst of great calamity. Therefore, the populace has come to regard its presence as an ill omen of the highest degree. Of late, though, a new theory has been put forth by the scholarly collective. It asserts that the scourge itself reveals itself not a harbinger of crisis, but a savior to deliver Ulbuka from cataclysmic destruction. Neither hypothesis, however, has been proven.
That is the scourge of the land. The annals say that disaster and calamity fall in the wake of its wings, but I always assumed its existence to be a mere parable than fact. That's positively gargantuan, yet it remains with such an air of dignity and grace.
Also, we probably unlocked inner and outer, the other area. The courts.
Is that what my brother wanted all along? For us to call forth this regal giant? Let's hope this latest theory proves true, and the dragon sends our nation soaring above disaster rather than up in flames.
It undoubtedly has a name, and I doubt it's Race Vulgar, but I would not be surprised. Unfortunately, however, that is the end of that. We now have another in-game day wait, and while we could take the time to do that, it is also 5:30. I'm going to finish up the quest Legacies Lost and Found and pick up the first of that artifact gear for Rune Fencer. And that's where we're going to have to call it. And then that is going to end Chapter 3. Basically the end of Chapter 3 of 5 for Seekers of Adeline. I'll be on in a few, that is for sure. I'll be in 14 in a few. I do got to get my own things done. So a couple things done around the house, that kind of thing. But yeah, a leveling run or two would not go amiss. Possibly even do all the matches. Possibly do all the raids while we're at it. I might as well do some of them. Trying to think. Yeah, because with 4-5 coming Tuesday, I've been reading a little bit on the subreddit, and some people are like, they're already predicting when 7-5 is coming out. And I know it's not. I know FanFest is the weekend before the 28th. But with the way they've been doing releases in Dawn Trail up until this point, it's going to be the Tuesday after. It's going to be it's got to be either the 28th of April or I wouldn't put it until maybe a week afterwards, but everyone is predicting the 28th, week after FanFest. Which would put us at that would put us at a November, December. That would put us at November, December for 7.8, for 8.0. That just doesn't seem right, because normally, that just doesn't seem right, because they normally do that just doesn't seem right. Oh yeah, PvP, I can't remember PvP. I do have to start that, because it is running exceptionally short.
Ah, you're finally here. What a masterpiece it is, if I must say so myself.
And what he just gave us is these here, which would not be terrible stats if it wasn't, item level 109. It's because it does have haste on it, physical damage taken less, enhancement to all status resistances, which is all good for tanks. And because Rune Fencer is actually more of a dodge tank than anything else, it has the evasions. But the stats on it are just garbage at 109. There's a reason you reforge your armors, immediately. Even the armor you can get in Adeline with just the cost of Balid is just ridiculously better. Ridiculously better. But that's item level creep for you. Anyway. That's where we're going to have to call it for Final Fantasy XI today. We will have a stream Monday. Another variety pack. I think I've determined what games I'm going to play. I think. I'll have to go through my set of thumbnails and see if I actually determined that or if I gotta do that yet. But that's neither here nor there. I'll get those up sometime tomorrow. Those waiting rooms for that. And we'll see everybody Monday for a variety pack of game testing on Linux. We might find some good ones. We might find some that just don't work. I don't know. We'll see you next time.